everyone, Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be going over all the day's movie news, as well as going over what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. With Hollywood right in the middle of award season, I wanted to do something different with our first story. I wanted to open it up to you guys, and I wanted to ask you a very important question. Who do you think should win Best Picture? Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that have not had the opportunity or the chance to go and see a lot of the movies that are going to be in contention for Best Picture. We are still about 2 to 3 weeks away from the official Academy Award nominations. I think we might be a month away now. They're either at the end of December or at the beginning of January. I'm not entirely sure. I think they're at the end of December. But I wanted to know what you guys think, or what film should win Best Picture. Now, there's a lot of movies that have been talked about over the past several months. And with the exception of a couple of them, I haven't yet seen Selma. I haven't yet seen Unbroken, although I really don't think, based on what I've heard already, I don't think that's going to be a big contender for Best Picture. What else have I not seen? Okay, I've seen Boyhood, I've seen Imitation Game, I've seen Theory of Everything, I've seen Foxcatcher, I've seen Nightcrawler, I just saw Whiplash, what am I forgetting? Oh, I saw Birdman. Did I say Imitation Game? I've seen Imitation Game. I'm trying to go back and think of all the movies, because this is going to be one of the first years that I've actually been able to see all of the Best Picture contenders before the actual award season, because normally I will have seen the majority of them. But to me, you can't actually make a valid, not necessarily a valid opinion or a valid point, but if you haven't seen all the movies in contention, then you don't have all the facts, and you are not able to make an opinion based on that. Now, if you've only seen a couple of the movies, then out of those films, I would definitely like to know what your favorite is for Best Picture. After seeing the majority of the movies, again, I haven't seen the main ones that I have not seen yet that are likely to be in contention. I haven't seen Selma, and I think that's the only movie that's going to be in contention that I haven't seen yet. I mean, depending on how people feel about American Sniper and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I haven't seen that yet because it hasn't been released, but there are a few films that are getting early word of mouth that are not likely to be in contention. The only one that hasn't been released yet to the general public, but that is gaining a lot of traction, is Selma. And I am very much looking forward to Selma. For those of you who don't know what Selma is, it is the story of Martin Luther King's walk through, I believe it's Selma, Missouri or Mississippi. It's in the southern United States, and it was about his big march that happened and all of the social turmoil that surrounded that endeavor. And David how do you pronounce his last name? David Oyelowo, I believe that's how you actually pronounce his last name. David Oyelowo portrays Martin Luther King, and there has been a lot of talk about him in the Best Actor contention. Best Actor this year is so stacked that there's almost not even a way to say which actor outshines the other actor, who gives a better performance. It's almost moot at this point. They all give phenomenal performances. But in terms of Best Picture, if I had to give a choice right now, I don't know if I could give one choice. I would have to watch the movies at least 1 or 2 more times minimum. But right now, to me, it's between Boyhood and Birdman. Those are the 2 movies that I feel right now have the highest chance of being almost surefire locks for Best Picture. Boyhood is a unique movie. If you haven't seen it yet, it's such a wonderful film. It is such an experiment. I mean, for those of you who are unaware of Boyhood was a movie that Richard Linklater shot over the course of 12 years with the same cast, with Ethan Hawke and with Patricia Arquette coming back and playing the boy's parents, and the same boy over the course of 12 years actually living out his entire teenage years and his preteen years, his entire teenage years. And it's just a fascinating story. One that could have been done differently with having different actors at different ages, but it would not have had the same impact. And the one thing about this movie is that the crux of it is his mother and his relationship with his mother. So it's not just about the boy and it's not just about the parents. It's about all of their relationships and about how everything works together. And I mean, on the flip side of that, you have Birdman. And Birdman is such an amazing motion picture. Birdman is essentially, it's almost an autobiography on Michael Keaton. It's so unique in that sense, but it's more so than that because it's almost a little bit over the top. It's a little bit flamboyant. Well, not a little bit. It's very flamboyant. But it's so unique and it's so... I'm almost speechless in actually being able to describe the movie. I think if I had to choose right now between the two, I would go for Birdman because I felt personally that it was a more well-rounded movie. I thought it captivated the audience more. It had, to me personally, it had better performances, even though the performance by, I'm even drawing a blank on the kid's name who played the kid in Boyhood. But he gives a very good performance. Ethan Hawke gives a very good performance. Patricia Arquette is almost a lock. Is it Patricia Arquette? Yeah, it's Patricia Arquette. And she is almost a lock for Best Supporting Actress. I think that she gives her best performance of her career by far. But when it comes to the overall quality of the film, in terms of the acting, the direction, the cinematography, everything all well-rounded into one thing, I would have to say Birdman, to me, is the one that is going to win Best Picture. But more importantly, this is about what you guys think. What movie do you think either should win or will win Best Picture? Leave a comment in the comments section, or you can put a post on our Facebook page at facebook.com/movie news with Niklsun. And let us know exactly what you guys are thinking of. And hopefully within about a week or two, just prior to the Academy Award nominations coming out, I will give out everybody's answers. So just let me know what you guys think, which one is going to win, and we'll tally up all the votes and we'll see what's going on, because I hope this is something that can really work. But yeah, to me personally, it's between Boyhood and Birdman. Again, I haven't seen Selma. Selma could definitely be the movie to beat this year. But as wild cards, I have Selma and I have The Imitation Game. Because The Imitation Game is, not only is it a great film, but the one thing we have to look at as well is there are certain things that the Academy looks for in a movie. And Imitation Game and Theory of Everything are both two movies that I think hit all those marks. I think Imitation Game does it a little bit better. I think it doesn't rest solely on the character of Alan Turing and the performance that Benedict Cumberbatch gives in that movie. But Theory of Everything really does hinge on Eddie Redmayne's portrayal of Stephen Hawking. And Felicity Jones playing his... Yes, Felicity Jones. Yeah, Felicity Jones playing his wife. And I think Imitation Game takes the cake out of those two, which means that I do think that Benedict Cumberbatch has a better chance over Eddie Redmayne of getting the Academy Award nomination or even the win. I'm pretty sure both of them are going to be nominated for Best Actor. But yeah, my vote right now is on Birdman. But again, more importantly, it's what you guys think. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think is going to win Best Picture. And in about 2 weeks, we're going to be discussing everybody's answers and seeing exactly which movie everybody's kind of rooting for. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Once we get all the votes totaled, then we will go over them on the show. But if we get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. About a week ago, it was announced that Roberto Orci would not be directing Star Trek 3, and the big hunt for who was going to direct him, or direct the movie, I should say, was started. And a lot of people were saying, well, J.J. Abrams might be able to come back if he gets Star Wars finished in time. That's not going to happen. A lot of people were talking about Edgar Wright, and I said on the show, because Edgar Wright was in fact on set during Star Trek Into Darkness, and he actually directed one shot in the Kronos sequence in the movie, that he could likely direct it. I would have rather have seen Joe Cornish, his screenwriting cohort for Ant-Man, really get that chance, because I really liked what he did with Attack the Block. But as it looks right now, Deadline is actually reporting a short list of 5 directors for this movie. Now, one of the directors has already come out and taken his name out of contention. So I'll give you the list of the directors, and then we'll talk about what they are. So Rupert Wyatt is one of them. He's the director of Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Daniel Espinosa, who directed Safe House and is currently prepping Boston Strong, which is a movie about the Boston Marathon bombings. Then there's Morton Tildum, who directed Imitation Game. There is Justin Lin, who directed Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6. He was lined up to direct the next Bourne movie, which was going to be the sequel to Bourne Legacy. But that's been pushed because they're doing Bourne 5 with Paul Greengrass and Matt Damon returning. And then the final one was Duncan Jones, who most people should know directed Moon. He directed Source Code, and he is currently working on Warcraft. Now, Duncan Jones is the one who has taken himself out of contention, not only because he said in his quote, he said, "I love that I'm on the list, but I want to work on something of mine, or else I will die of old age." That's what he said in the tweet. But not only that, he has Warcraft, which is going to be opening up in March 2016. And the producers are aiming for a summer 2016 release date for Star Trek 3. That's going to tie into the 50th anniversary of the original series. So they want to have it launched then. That's when they want the movie out. Duncan Jones would not be able to do it. Unless he wasn't doing Warcraft right now, he might be in contention, but he is not. Currently, as far as I know, Rupert Wyatt and Justin Lin are the two frontrunners. They're the two people that the studio really does want to get. And that makes the most sense out of all the choices because they both have experience working with big budget films, so they can deal with that scheduling. They can deal with a rushed schedule on a movie like this because we are now almost in 2015, which means if they need to do a page one rewrite on that script, they need to have production started. If they're planning a summer 2016 release, let's say they're aiming for July. Let's just say they're aiming for July. They may even try to push it to the fall, but let's just say July. That means they're going to need about 3 to 4 months to film it. And they're going to need about a year of post to do all the special effects and sound editing and all that stuff. If that's the case, they need to start shooting by, at the latest, March, April. By the latest. Because that means that they will be done shooting in and around July, August, and that'll give them about a year to work on all the post. That is still cutting it pretty close. For a movie of that size, now let's put this into context. Majority of movies out there, from when they start shooting to when they're released, is about 9 months to a year, on average. Some movies do it a little bit faster. Mostly horror films do it a little bit faster than that, but for the most part, they do about 9 to 12 months. From start of production, like start of actual filming, until the movie is released. Because some movies only take, 3-4 weeks to film. And it's not a lot of special effects, so they don't need all that much time. It's more just fine-tuning it in the editing room and getting, certain reaction shots and certain timings and whether or not to have there be, maybe 14 frames instead of 17 frames. Like those minute little changes are what can make and break a scene. And so they spend a lot of time really fixating on that stuff with those types of movies. So it takes a bit more time. If they have that time, they can make a better quality film. Because at the end of the day, no film is ever finished. They're just as done as they could be by that date. There's always something else that you can do to a movie, whether it be adding another texture layer to special effects, whether it be, just maybe going in and cleaning up a shot, maybe saying, I really don't like the reflection that this thing gives on the wall. We need to remove it. Anything of that sort. Anything that they need. They have time to get rid of it. When dealing with a larger budget film, they're usually going to need between 9 and 12 months of visual effects work, which if it's going to be 100% visual effects shot, then they don't need film. They don't need the movie to have already started shooting. They can start that even before they're doing that. If they're incorporating that shot into something that's already been filmed or is about to be filmed, they need to wait to see what the composition of the shot is going to look like. And they can obviously work with the director before that. They can obviously, with dealing with storyboards and all that kind of stuff. But what can happen on sets is that a director could get there and see the layout of something and go, you know what? Like, we'll do it the way that we've already planned. But I really like to see what the shot could look like from down here or from over here. Or if we do like a roundabout shot or an overhead shot or whatever the case may be, they will come up with on-the-spot decisions to shoot. And if there is a visual effect shot that's incorporated into that, then they need to work with the visual effects supervisor in order to figure out how can we fit this into our schedule. So there are a lot of things in terms of that, in terms of the time scheduling and all that kind of stuff that the movie will have to adhere to. And in order to do that, they need to start filming by March or April. At the latest. I can't even see them pushing it to May. But as it stands right now, Rupert Wyatt, out of all the options, I think Rupert Wyatt is probably the best choice. And only because he has experience working in sci-fi. He has experience working in a large budget tentpole movie that is focused on character, which is what Star Trek is. There are a number of different aspects of this movie that could be handled poorly. And I don't believe that Rupert Wyatt is one of the type of people to do that. He will really emphasize and try to bring it back to its grassroots and really emphasize that while there is still really cool action happening, the movie is about these characters. Because and I'm going to go back to this movie, if the Avengers taught us anything, while the storyline was a little generic in Avengers, the way the characters were brought out, it was a character movie with amazing action set pieces. And the set pieces helped to further the character development. And if you get somebody who is a fan of the genre, like Rupert Wyatt is, he is a massive sci-fi fan. He really likes that world. And letting him play in this playground, I think could really work. Now, there obviously will be guidelines that he will have to adhere to. He will have to say, okay, you need to talk about this because this was mentioned in the last film, or you need to at least implement something like this because we talked about that in one of the previous movies. He is dealing with an already established universe. So that is one of the reasons why I think he could really work. Justin Lin, the thing I like about Justin Lin, he makes really great high-octane action. But he doesn't have his own visual style. I have not yet seen a Justin Lin movie that looks like a Justin Lin movie, only because we've really only, outside of Annapolis, because he directed that movie Annapolis with, I believe it was James Franco and Tyrese Gibson. But outside of that movie, he's really only done the Fantastic Four, the Fast and Furious films. And it's rumored that he may be coming back to do a multi-film finale of the Fast and Furious franchise, whether that be 8 and 9 or whether that be 8, 9, 10, but it would be all shot back to back. This is a rumor, by the way. This is just a rumor. But it would be a multi-film finale for this franchise, and that would be it. And then they would either reboot Fast and Furious down the line, or this would just be it. But if that's the case, it takes him out of the running. Rupert Wyatt has The Gambler coming out with Mark Wahlberg, but after that, he doesn't have anybody. Looking at somebody like Daniel Espinosa, I think he could do a really cool vision of that movie. But I don't think he's the right choice for it. Morton Tildum, I think he is the best choice for the character aspect of this movie. But he didn't handle those sequences very well in Intimidation Game. There's not a lot. There's not really even any action in the movie, but there are sequences of heightened tension. And I really feel that the one reason that those scenes worked in the movie was because of Benedict Cumberbatch. I do feel that he wasn't able, he just didn't have the experience to be able to craft those in a way that didn't hinge just on his performance. So that's why I think that while he is a great choice for it, and I love to see all these studios looking at independent filmmakers and low budget, not period movies, but low budget character study movies. And they're choosing those directors and surrounding them with the best team possible and giving them high profile films. I really like that. I mean, Colin Trevorrow, we've seen that with Jurassic World. We've got, Josh Trank. He did Chronicle, which was a little low budget movie. Now he's doing Fantastic Four. Then he's doing a Star Wars movie. You have Gareth Edwards, who did Monster. Monsters was a fairly low-budget movie. He did almost all the special effects himself, and then he got to do Godzilla. Now he's doing a Star Wars movie. So James Gunn is the same way with Marvel, and the Russo brothers with Marvel, and Michelle McLaren now with directing Wonder Woman. Like, all these studios are starting to pick from this really great talent and not seeing that, okay, well, these people already need to have the experience. No, they don't. You surround them with the best visual effects supervisor. The person will say, I want to see a big explosion over there, and I want to see a big ship coming in here, and I want to see a bunch of people flying around in the sky up here. And then the visual effects supervisor will come in and say, okay, perfect, so we can do that, we can do that, we can do that. Okay, we'll get all that stuff. Okay, now to the lighting person, they'll say, I want to see all this stuff. And then the cinematographer will go, okay, I know how to set up that shot. And then the director will come over and say, okay, I like that shot, but I want to move it just over to the side, or maybe do a Dutch angle a little bit, like what Kenneth Branagh did with the first Thor movie. Almost every shot was a Dutch shot. It was just angled slightly. And so those little tiny touches that will separate it from the onslaught of all these action films, I think is really what they're going to strive for. They're going to strive for somebody who knows character. They're going to strive for somebody who's not going to make a film that's going to look like every other film. And they're going to try to make a movie or get a filmmaker that can make a movie that will not only fit within this world, but still stand on its own merits. And I really do think that out of all the choices here, Rupert Wyatt is that person to do this. Out of this list, I do have other choices that I think might be able to do it a little bit better, but that's only because of the work that they've already done has been so stellar that there is a chance that they could mess up. But Rupert Wyatt so far, I am rooting for him. I hope that he gets the job out of these options. He is currently the front runner. He's the one that they want. And I think that he could make the best job possible. So that's my choice. But what do you guys think? Who do you think would be the best choice to direct Star Trek 3 out of this list? Or even if they're not on the list, who do you think would be the best choice? I know a couple of people have already given their answers from the last episode. I talked about this, but still, knowing kind of what the studio is looking for with their director. With this list, we kind of see where their eye is leaning towards. I would like to see what you guys think about this list and who you think could stand out. So let me know in the comment section below. But if we get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. Skull Island, which was a project that was announced at San Diego Comic-Con this past summer, is a prequel about the King Kong story that we all know and love. Well, it looks as though it's being retitled a little bit. Even though I preferred Skull Island as the title, the new title of the movie will be called Kong Skull Island, to just further establish the fact that this is an official franchise. But not only has it been retitled, they've moved the release date. Now, the original release date for the movie was November 4th, 2016. There's another little project that's opening up on November 4th, 2016. And it is starring none other than Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. A little movie by Marvel, and I'm pretty sure that Legendary saw that and said, okay, we're gonna go over this. See you guys later. Yeah, okay, we're gonna go over this way. Because that would be a stupid decision on their part to open up against Doctor Strange. Marvel has shown that they could put up a toilet paper roll in a theater and people would go and see it. If it's got the Marvel Studios logo on it, people will line up to see it. This is not a bad decision on Legendary's part in any shape or form. This is the best decision they could have made. They're also releasing it in March, which I have been a fan of March releases for movies that are summer tentpole type films, but that might not necessarily survive in the onslaught of movies that'll be coming out in that time frame. So this makes so much sense to release it in March. Release it a month or two before the big summer movie season will start, when all of those big projects will be unleashed. Give them some time to rink in some box office, not really have as much competition that they would in, say, a July or in a November, anything of that sort. So I'm really liking it. Right now, it's still got Tom Hiddleston signed on, which I think that's brilliant casting. Tom Hiddleston is just great. And it's directed by Justin Vogt-Roberts, who did Kings of Summer. You know, Kings of Summer is such a unique little film. I loved it. It was so entertaining. Just so good. And he has so many sensibilities about this. Like, I really think Kings of Summer could really, or the director of Kings of Summer could really bring something wholly unique to the King Kong storyline. But this is what really piqued my interest, because I can't remember if this was already released, but this is the first time that I read it. This is the official log line for Kong Skull Island. So, Kong Skull Island will fully immerse audiences in the mysterious and dangerous home of the King of the Apes as a team of explorers ventures deep inside the treacherous primordial island. Legendary's story honors the foundations of existing King Kong lore, but places it in an entirely new, distinct timeline. That last line there is what really got me hooked, because I know that Legendary is planning eventually, we don't know when, but eventually, they will be planning a Godzilla King Kong mashup movie. One can only hope that they're going to try to squeeze in Pacific Rim in there as well. Oh my God, that just nerdgasm, bah! You know, I mean, it would just be incredible. But let's step back for a minute. An entirely new, distinct timeline. What I think that they mean by that is that this is going to be one of the first King Kong movies that we've seen, outside of the Jeff Bridges one, that is set in modern day. I think we're going to see this movie set in modern day. I think because they said they're going to be honoring the foundations of the existing lore, the existing King Kong lore that's already come before that, and places it in an entirely new, distinct timeline. So that means one of two things. To me, personally, this is what I'm taking away from it. It either means they're bringing him into modern day, or, and this is a very, very, very big stretch, they're going to do something in the not too distant future. How cool would that be? I mean, I don't want to see like a decked out King Kong with like, laser guns or anything like that. I do not want that. But how cool would it be if the explorers of this island were dealing with almost, I don't want to say Avatar level technology, but imagine if they had, like, maybe some people had a mech suit or something like that, and you saw the complete destruction of this entire crew from all of the other aspects that are on the island, because it's going to be about the island. It's called Skull Island, so they're going to be more exploring what different creatures and things like that are on the island, as well as King Kong, and also setting the building blocks for an eventual crossover with Godzilla. If they were to do that, they need to address one big issue, and I talked about this on the video that I did during Comic-Con. Godzilla is over 300 feet tall now. I think he's like 360 some odd feet tall. King Kong, by comparison, has always been in and around the 30 to 40 feet range. I mean, just look at the picture behind me. He's the same height pretty much as a T-Rex, and a T-Rex on average is about 40 feet high. I think he's only like 27 feet tall. But if they are planning a Godzilla King Kong mashup of any kind, they need to make him much bigger. And I don't mean like a Bane Venom type thing where he when he gets really angry, he grows in size. I do not want that. And I hope that they have enough sensibilities that they're not going to do that. I mean, I'm getting nervous because of all these leaks that are coming out from Sony. And while every studio has this kind of system set up where they have all these different ideas, spitballing ideas left, right, and center, but nobody else has had their information leak out. And we're seeing just how to us on the outside, it's looking like they're grabbing at straws. And in certain aspects, I do believe that they are. They are fighting for a franchise. They're looking to see where can they get a steamroller of money just coming in. And they're just like, what if we cross 21 Jump Street and Men in Black? It's like that. Well, at first glance, that sounds like it could be cool. No, I don't think that it really has a lot going for it. I think it wouldn't help 21 Jump Street franchise, and it wouldn't really be a Men in Black movie because Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones would not be coming back. So, but getting back to Legendary, if they're going to do that, the only way that I can see it, and I think I said this on my Comic-Con video as well, the only thing that would make sense if they kept Kong the same size that he is and they kept Godzilla the same size that he is if they teamed up somehow. But even then, it would be like, he would just have like a little thing on his shoulder. Like that would be the size comparison between Godzilla and King Kong. He would be like a little, like almost like a kitten sitting on your shoulder. So I don't know how they would do that, but I am really excited for this movie, especially with the whole entirely new, distinct timeline. That to me raises a whole bunch of unique questions, like where could they go with it? They're not planning this as a one-off. They're planning it as a potential franchise. So they are going to be putting building blocks in there to expand this world and see where they can go from it. I hope we don't get the same King Kong storyline where, the filmmaker goes to the island, sees the animal, they end up trapping it, bringing it back to the mainland. I hope they don't do that because we've already seen that before. We don't need to see it again. We just saw it in the Peter Jackson one like 10 years ago. We don't need that anymore. I would like to see a new story set on the island with new creatures, new people dealing with Kong and seeing what Kong is going to do. If Kong's going to be younger, if he's going to be older, whatever the case is, I really am excited for this because it brings up a lot of possibilities, especially with somebody like Tom Hiddleston leading the charge. I think that, we get a seasoned actor, great theatrical actor in a movie like this. I think it could really work. But I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think about this movie, whether or not you think that this movie in any way, shape, or form is just a good decision, if you think it could work, if they are eventually planning a Godzilla King Kong mashup movie of some kind, what could they do to try to fix it? I mean, the obvious answer is make Kong bigger, which I hope that they do, but I hope they don't go too big, because at that point, you can't just have Kong hiding on an island. He'd be too massive to hide on an island. You know, he'd tower above the trees, and he needs to be able to hide within the trees. So it just brings up a lot of different issues and problems that they would have to address and fix. So, well, not necessarily fix, because this is a reboot of sorts. They're adhering to the previous lore, but they are going to bring it in its own direction. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As it stands right now, Kong Skull Island will be opening up on March 10th, 2017. So we still got a little bit of time. The movie's not going to start filming until probably the end of next year, which I'm excited to start seeing some concept art for this, to see what their version of Kong looks like. I'm just really excited to see what the kind of brain trust that's behind this legendary production is going to be. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And if we get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. Well, that'll about do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. Go ahead and click the subscribe button there in the bottom corner. You get updates whenever we post a new video. You can also follow me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And go ahead and give us a like on our Facebook page at facebook.com/movie news with Niklsun. On every Friday episode, we try to answer as many user questions as we can. So if you do have a question or comment or topic you'd like to have discussed on the show, go ahead and put a comment in the comment section, or you can email us at movienewswithniklsun, Niklsun, @gmail.com. And on every Friday episode, we'll try to answer as many as we can. But until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.